The SFL Postgame Show is on the air. Open line 210-473-8428 as we begin the night of calls. Final scores from around the league. Tallahassee can only get field goals in a 20-12 loss to Orlando. Intimidators snap a two-game skid and improve to 4-3. Meanwhile, history made in Los Angeles. Down 28-7, Los Angeles completes the largest comeback in league history. In a 37-31 overtime win, Louisville slams Dallas 46-31. 717, you're on the SFL postgame show.
You got Doug Bose.
How does it feel to be the winner of the largest comeback in league history? 21 points down to win.
From here on out, I'm going to take the field with a doctor next to me. I almost had a heart attack, an aneurysm, and all that stuff. Maybe a stroke.
Why can't this team play? Go ahead.
Oh, feels good, and I know what you were going to say. Why can't this team play a full game?
There you go. Why can't they play in the first half?
I have no idea. And if you've noticed, when they've actually played in the first half, they fall apart in the second half. Every game is the tale of two halves with this team. They've been true to form week in, week out. They either don't know how to start or they don't know how to finish. If we could just get one complete game this season, it'd be nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get the win tonight, and it really was kick-started, I would say, by Gladwin Wolf. Gladwin is a role player. He's a slot receiver. He's a guy that you wouldn't necessarily call a big playmaker, but his kickoff return could not have come at a better time. You know, I always like to say to owners, you're lucky enough to get one, maybe two kickoffs return for touchdowns a year. When it happens, you better hope it counts, and it counted tonight.
Indeed, and speaking of Mr. Wolf, he had come to me about 3 weeks ago and said, "Look, Coach, we need to get something going here. Start getting me the damn ball." And I said, "I think that's copyright," but he didn't care. But we started getting him the ball, and if you take a look at his stats the last few weeks, he's been more involved. So I think we're going to stick with the kid.
Yeah, Gladwin Wolf, a strong game tonight. He had, I'm trying to get his final numbers, a couple of catches, but again, that huge game out of him. Another guy that has been flying a bit under the radar because Macho Fogg had such the hot start is Bobby Treefeather. 10 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns tonight. He was 20th in the league in receiving yards per game coming into the night. People probably would not have expected that he was in the top 20 to begin with. He's going to move up after tonight, and he was the hero in the end.
Indeed, and what was most shocking to me is I had game planned to get to Macho Fogg. I figured he'd help me, beat Houston a little easier. Murdoch Mock said, "No, I know better than you do."
In the first half when things weren't going well, did you have, what was your confidence level that this is what my team does, we're going to turn it around?
A couple of my players almost called the suicide hotline. But it was that was a personal moment. But it was very depressing, to be honest. I'm sitting here thinking, here we go again. We put in the time, we put in the effort, and it's just gonna come back to bite us in the behind. But as I said to Damon Simeon after the game, this felt like OKC Houston all over again from last season. It was just insane.
Right.
I mean, that game was intense and out of control, and this one was as well.
The victory it's sort of nice to be on the winning side of one of these comebacks because Los Angeles has made plenty of second half comebacks. Just looking back at what your season has been so far, the second half comeback against Sioux Falls ended up being a 7-point loss. Second half comeback against Louisville ends up being a 3-point loss. And then the 21 unanswered points against Baltimore ended up being a 7-point loss. But tonight, what do you think was the difference maker in the win?
I think you touched on it earlier. No matter what would have happened here tonight, the victory does not come without that Gladwin Wolf kick return, because that shifted everything immediately. As soon as that took place, I mean, all bets were off, and we seemed to be a whole different team after that. He rejuvenated that offense. He rejuvenated the whole team, and the credit goes to him.
A big game for the West Division tomorrow night. You're a half game back of Minneapolis. You're a couple of games back of Sioux Falls. Who do you root for? Because if Minneapolis wins, then you fall a game behind them. But if Sioux Falls wins, then the division becomes further and further out of reach.
Right. Well, the goal of any team, I would hope, is to win their division. And to win their division, you need the teams that are ahead of you to lose. And that team for everybody to beat right now is Sioux Falls. So, we're obviously cheering against Sioux Falls, and then it'll help tighten up the division as a whole. And as long as we can keep plugging away, got Tallahassee next week. And then we run into a tough stretch with Santa Fe's in there and OKC and Orlando. So it doesn't get any easier. So we need the teams that are way in front of us to start losing to make our job easier.
We've seen the same song and dance out of Louisville in the past. You have your experience in playing with Louisville and playing them close. I believe the closest victory for Louisville all season. They dominate in the regular season. They get in the playoffs, and in back-to-back conference championship games at home, they lay an egg. Is compared to other seasons, that you've seen and that you've understood and witnessed, do you feel like there's the chance that can happen again, or is this team now ready for a championship?
Well, anything's possible. And on inside the SFL, you hear from from Alan Drum. He has stated that Louisville has been lucky. Many a games, those comments have been true. And as the old cliche goes, you'd rather be lucky than good, and maybe luck is what they've been missing. And this season they have it, so that could be what puts them over the top.
Right, and they haven't needed any luck in the last couple of weeks with back-to-back, just lynchings of their opponents. It's been unbelievable. Doug Bose, owner of the Los Angeles Sharks, you're now 3-4, and man, maybe next week against Tallahassee you can put a complete game together.
Wouldn't that be nice?
All right,
maybe they sell a book on that, how to put a complete game together 101. We'll have to look for that.
All right, well, thanks, Doug, for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Open line, 210-473-8428. Yeah, Houston, just unbelievable how they were winning this game. I want to mention Noah Martin in his fantastic game for the Hyenas. He led the Hyenas with 10 tackles tonight, and he also picked off 2 passes. One he returned for a pick six. 9:04, you're on the SFL postgame show.
Ray Gooden, Tallahassee Pride.
Coach Gooden, to be honest, I didn't get to check a lot of the stats or a lot of the action in your game, but it seemed like just couldn't complete drives and couldn't get those touchdowns tonight. How did you assess the loss to Orlando on the road?
I think that would be pretty close. Orlando simply they came to play tonight. They seemed to have a little extra edge on both sides of the ball. They had the energy offensively. Parker was just breaking tackles behind the line and converting behind the line of scrimmage, but it ended up getting 5, 6, 7 yards, getting first downs. They seemed to just be one step ahead pretty much the whole game. And so it made it a dogfight for us throughout the whole game.
Yeah, this is what you touched on it with your team, I think, a little bit before the game. This is what Orlando does. Doesn't it feel that? It's just eerie. They've in recent weeks they've gotten Zach Parker going. Last week was a bit of a question mark when they lost to Queen City and their offense sort of just fell apart in the second half. But, before that, they had 2 wins in a row. They lost to Louisville only by 2 points. And then tonight, Zach Parker was going again. He had it going, and it's just not a team that you want to face after week 4. And they seem to be a little bit more polished coming into this week. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean they flat out executed us. And what I mean is we seem to have our players in position in nearly every play, and a lot of times we would make a stop. They only put up for as well as they played. They only ended up putting up 20 points on us, and that's right around the max. You take out a game that blowout game that we had early in the season. But throughout the game, they simply were able to convert, and so they had that edge, throughout the entire game. So, yeah, this is what they do. I think I'm very fortunate. I'm happy that we'll get a chance to see them again in our house. So we'll get a chance for revenge here, but just playing them at home at this stage of the season, they earned that moniker for being a tough team.
Looking at the numbers, I would not have guessed Tallahassee would score 12 points tonight. Alexander West, 27 of 36, 260 yards. He threw an interception, but it wasn't even his fault. The fullback dropped it right into the hands of A.J. Lacoste, and that's just unfortunate. Kenny G, another big night, 11 catches, 156 yards. I would say that overall he probably had A.J. Lacoste's number tonight. Yet, it just didn't pan out. And as a coach, you go from the offense being tight on the line, you say, okay, well, we need to light a spark, so we're going to open it up. You open it up, and you get the results on the other end, but still end up, not with. It's almost like Los Angeles with their first and second half struggles, except for Tallahassee. It seems like no matter where you go, teams not just putting up points on the board right now. Is that the most frustrating part?
Yeah, I would call it a little. It's not surprising when you look at our offensive build. So it's a matter of being able to hold teams down enough. We're simply not built to put up 30, 40 points every game or anything, nothing like that. So I'm not surprised by it. It's just that what we hope to do is just be able to play a more consistent game. Like you said, tonight was all about, we seemed to execute pretty well overall. It's just that they had an edge, and they were able to come up with the big stops in third and short, and they were able to convert the big conversions on the other side of the ball in third and short. And we never had, on our side, sometimes you need that one play like what the Sharks got tonight that flips things around for you or turns the momentum a little bit. And we would never, was hoping they played a mistake-free game. A lot of times for us, that comes on the defensive side of the ball, where one of our big horses back there in the secondary will get a pick and help turn things around. But they played such consistent mistake-free football tonight that we never got that opportunity.
I've talked to a lot of coaches after losses, a lot of players after losses. I always wonder, do they hate me right now? So I have to ask, do you hate me right now for asking you these questions?
Not at all. Here's where I see it. Right now we're sitting at 3-4. We're by no means out of the playoff hunt. And, so no, you're doing your job. We just have to do our job, so we're good.
Down 11, Bo Davis, 56-yard field goal. Bo Davis has been huge for you. It would have made it a one-score game. Did you just feel like at that point you just felt like you had to get it to a one-score game right then and there to have a chance? Is that why you go for the field goal there?
Yep, and it's funny you bring that up. I mean, that was our last gasp, so to speak. If Bo Davis, who we lean on him for his kick, those long field goals, and really the long field goals were what kept us in this game all along.
Right.
So we put him out there, and we go for that 56-yarder, hoping that he has the range. He was right on the money with it, but that would be the story of this game. He was basically a yard short of converting that, and that's how we played the whole night. We were just short, and it was consistently short the whole night. That was the story of the game.
Coach Gooden, appreciate the time.
All right. Catch you next time.
All right, thanks. 20-12, Orlando beats Tallahassee. Open line now, 210-473-8428. As we break down, a night where Tallahassee falls just short, a night where Dallas seemed like didn't even have an opportunity to fall just short ever, and a night where Houston just crumbles. Up 28-7, they get outscored 30-3 the rest of the way. Alan Drums with us on the postgame show. How are you, Alan? How are you holding up? Hello. We lost Alan. We'll try to get him back here in a minute. 9:03. You're on the SFL postgame show.
Stephen Monax, Thomas Roughnecks.
Whoa. I'll shake your hand for calling in. I didn't expect to hear from you tonight. What happened? What happened tonight?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, the Wolfpack, got to give a lot of credit to his team. All the credit to his team. They had a great game plan, and they executed all night. And, as far as calling in is concerned, hey, if I can call in when we win, I certainly can call in when we lose and try to explain what happened. I mean, your guess probably at this point is as good as mine. I mean, basically we just didn't execute, and things didn't fall our way, and we started to see a kind of a spark in the third quarter, but by then it was already in the bag. I don't know. We've got to go back to the drawing board, man, and we'll think about this loss and tonight, and then go to Baltimore tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the strategy of tonight. That you likely will not see Louisville until the conference final if the two of you are fortunate enough to get there, because if you fall to fourth, that would be, I think, especially with 4 home games to go, that would be quite surprising. But so coming into to the game against Louisville, how did you plan to attack the Wolfpack, and what happened that meant that couldn't be possible if it wasn't what you envisioned there in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't what it was supposed to be in the entire game. I mean, we wanted to give them a heavy dose of Mike Davis, and we planned not to run inside at all because we know O'Reilly's there. We know they have a star middle linebacker, so we wanted to run outside. And as you can see, he didn't run very much during the game, and the one thing we didn't expect, and I probably should have, was how pressured Marconi was going to be. If I could do it all over again, I would absolutely play dink and dunk, and try to get the ball out of Marconi's hands a lot quicker. But our plan was to run through Mike Davis, and that didn't happen tonight.
Right, and there have been games for Dallas where Davis has had great nights, and then games where Davis can sort of go quiet and sort of go dark. What's his mindset, and how has he been, as a rookie? Obviously, he's in a good position to where you don't have to lean on him, but every rookie is different in how they approach carries and contributions.
Yeah, Mike's been great. He was put into a really tough situation where, we're trying something different with the 4 wide receiver set and, the running backs role in that. We're still trying to define it and find what the sweet spot is for him. But you've seen that he's kind of a boom or bust type player at this point in his career. He'll either have, they'll have one great, awesome, long play, or he'll get stopped 5 times behind the line of scrimmage. It's trying to find that balance for him, and we're still trying to do that. And I don't put that on the player at all. Put that on me as the coach, not putting in the right plays for him. But another thing we need to touch on is what our defense tonight was. One of the things that we've really built our lead or our record on this year was great defense, and they just struggled tonight. I knew it was going to be an issue. Louisville has so many great weapons, and it's really a pick your poison, catch-22 type situation. Are you going to try and stop the pass and Falk? Are you going to try to stop Overstreet in the run? we tried to do a little bit of both, and I think we suffered because of that.
Yeah, the defense has given up 25 points was the most, and Louisville already had that by the half. What was it that they did besides, the spreading out of the weapons? But what was it that they did that you felt put your defense at a disadvantage? I mean, Bones Malone has been potential defensive player of the year candidate, and he had 7 tackles tonight. But I mean, hardly called his name all night.
Right.
Clearly, that can't be just because Malone had an off night.
Well, if Malone had an off night, our entire defense had an off night. We don't invest as much as we have as a franchise into the defense and expect to see something like this.
Except maybe LaShaw, by the way. We've got to give him his props. He had 10 tackles tonight.
Absolutely.
Had a very good game.
He showed up a lot during that game and showed up a lot. A great play for a rookie, but. It really comes down, and I hate to say it again, but execution. I mean, they did everything right, and we did everything wrong.
Yeah, well, 5-2. Baltimore's next, 4-3. Huge game now because you're 3 games back from Louisville. I don't know as a team if you can sort of say to yourself, well, there was an opportunity to get a number 1 seed, and we're probably not going to get that. I don't know if that is that there's a mind shift there or not, and maybe you can shed light on that. But now, Dallas's focus in the short term at least has to be to avoid going from a top flight team in the gray to maybe not even getting to host a home playoff game where you've been so tremendous at home over the first 2 games. So where is the mentality there heading into Baltimore?
We were 5-7 team last year, so
5-7.
I mean, we already split. Yes. I'm getting that right?
I thought you said 5-17 there for a minute.
Oh no, 5-7 team last year.
Oh, I see.
And so we're 5-1 right now. I mean, we're ahead of the game in our mind. We're doing really well. 5-2 now. I'm sorry. It's still sitting in. But no, you can't. I don't think you can think of it like that. I think you got to take it one game at a time. I mean, wins in the SFL. I've said this before. Wins in the SFL are hard to come by. I mean, there's a lot of teams learning that fact right now. We learned it a lot last year. So we're still in a good position. We're not hanging our heads. You might do that tonight, but tomorrow, I think you just got to attack it one game at a time, and that's Baltimore for us. And we've got to just hit the playbook and see if we can have a better outing on the next one. But you can't just think that far down the road right now. It's kind of a one game at a time thing. Yeah,
well, hopefully anything is better than this week. I'm sure you'd agree, and so we'll see.
Absolutely.
All right, Stephen, thanks for the time.
All right, Harambe, rest in peace.
Stephen Mullinex, owner of the Dallas Roughnecks. Dallas's 6-1 potential rest in peace tonight. 46-31. Louisville tops Dallas. Los Angeles has a brilliant comeback tonight. We've already heard from their owner, Doug Bose. Open line 210-473-8428. It was a wild game in L.A. We want to go through how that broke down in case you didn't get to see how things went. But first, Alan Drum of Houston. Do we have you now, Alan?
We finally got me. Been a rough night trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a rough night all the way around. I mean, it looks like this game is in the bag. You probably know, as others do, the largest comeback in league history is 20 points, so you're up 21, thinking that you probably are having your best game of the season, and you're really happy about it. And then what happened in the second half?
He did a Kirk Cousins on us. Basically, all I can say. I mean, I can even say from the private messages, even owner of LA, Doug Burke, he said it's done. And I told him, I was like, that's why we play a second half. And he did an outstanding job. I mean, our defense did perfect in that first half, but like he said, he plays a bad first half. We played a bad second half. the defense didn't look too good, and I'm not going to put it all on the defense. The offense could have made just one play. The offense just act like they were just too cocky and just played horrendous in that second half, and it cost us big time, and we're sitting at probably just a rebuilding mode now, as Damon was stating in chat room.
How do you explain how a team can play so good in the second half, or in the first half rather, and look completely different in the second half? What was there ever? Did the team ever feel deflated? Did the team ever feel nervous or pressured? I mean, that doesn't happen every day, and it happened tonight.
I guess it's over cockiness. I mean, I'm not seen in the SFL before, but I'm probably pissed off as I was since last year when Tampa Bay gave that big lead up to Washington. I remember that game, and it's so weird how mirror image, but for Doug, I mean, his game plan started probably putting in that thing. I mean, Gladden Wolf did that kickoff, and it just dropped a Uncle Mo on us, and it just stepped on it big time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were very lucky to get that field goal. I mean, we barely got it, and, I mean, we cannot go into a game depending on a coin flip because LA had all the momentum and everything.
You are last in the Teal Conference, 2-5. You mentioned going into maybe a rebuilding mode of sorts, but you're 2 games out of a playoff spot, potentially 1 game out, depending upon how Minneapolis does, of the playoffs with 5 games remaining. That can't seriously be the mentality of Houston, considering there's still such a lot of ball to be played.
Well, there's 5 games, but we were looking more of getting in the playoff hunt this week. I believe Damon is stating maybe we should start rechanging and playoffs. If we're lucky to get back in the playoff hunt, I mean, we could, but right now, I mean, we would have to have a lot of things happen. I mean, we got a very tough Santa Fe team that literally destroyed us, putting up that many points in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Our schedule is looking very tough this end of the season. We still got Sioux Falls, a return game with Minneapolis, which, I mean, we're going to have to just really just see what we got and basically build for the future. I mean, we got 5 weeks remaining, and we can't hope, but we've got to build for next season to make sure we're doing all right. Just a reevaluation of our team and everything.
Yeah, well, and there's no doubt it was a big loss. It's your 3rd loss by 7 points or less. The Santa Fe game obviously got away from the team in week 1, but even the Louisville game that was an 11-point loss you were right in that game in the last 2 minutes before things sort of fell apart on you.
Right.
These close losses don't get any easier, do they?
And no, they don't, and I wish we could play at home every week. Unfortunately, we're probably the worst road team in the SFL right now. We cannot win away from home for nothing.
Good point.
Exactly, and thank goodness we got 2 games left on the road, one after this week, and hopefully the home crowd can give us a little boost and finish at least with a good record.
Yeah, I mean, 3 home games down the stretch.
Exactly. We've been on a tough road schedule. Every week it looks like we're playing on the road, and I mean, maybe it's just a road warrior. I mean, we don't have a road warrior in us. We're just like a Gilbert, and we need to be a Goldberg on the road, and we're acting like a Bill Gilbert.
Gotcha. Alan Drum, OC for Houston. Appreciate the time, and unfortunately on the losing end of the greatest comeback in league history tonight. Take care.
Thank you, and shout out to Andy Hamilton also. A great job.
All right, appreciate that. We want to hear from Andy and get an interview with him following our next caller. 210-473-8428. Matthew Boozer of Houston mentioned he wanted to call in and get a different perspective on the Houston Hyenas loss and season as the SFL runners-up from last year continue the trend of struggling the year after falling in the championship game, and now 2-5. That would be okay in the Gray Conference. I'm not so sure about the Teal. 310, you're on the SFL postgame show.
Matthew Boozer, outside linebacker for the Houston Hyenas.
Well, Matthew, lend your perspective on the second half and what went wrong after everything went right in the first half for the defense.
It seems like we were in the second half. It seems like we were giving way too much respect to Park Heachel, and we seemed like we were forgetting that. I mean, Murdoch Mock has Tree Feather, he has Macho Falk, he has targets downfield, and it seems like we forgot about that. And then when we would play them, it seems like we forgot about Park Heachel, and it just seems like we kind of zoned out of the second half. We had such smooth sailing in the first half, and Black was on fire. We had Sim was playing well. Everyone was playing well on both sides, and it kind of seems like we didn't know what to do. Even towards the end, we left Bobby Treefeather wide open down the field, and I didn't understand what was going on. It seems like we just whatever way the Sharks tried to beat us, they could do it. If Park Heachel wanted to burst out a big run on us, he could do it. If Macho Fog wanted to catch a deep pass down the middle, he could. If Bobby Treefeather wanted a pass, he could do it. It just seems like whatever weaknesses the Sharks had in the first half was their strengths in the second half, and it seems like it's like we switched roles in the second half. Whatever struggles they had, we took them on, and they took what we were doing well. So I don't know. It was disappointing.
Yeah, it's tough to play that game on the road too. I mean, when you look at the Teal Conference, essentially the loser falls down to the bottom, and you guys have to go on the road and take on a Sharks team that, like Houston, has easily played its best ball at home. A 7-point loss to Sioux Falls, who's at the top of the conference. A win over Queen City. A 3-point loss to Louisville. That's what they had coming in at home. How was the crowd there? How was the environment in that second half?
They definitely weren't too much of a factor in the first half. As you can see, we had pretty much negated whatever fans were there. But it seems like as soon as Gladwin Wolf had that, they burst out the gates in the second half with a kick return for a touchdown, and that ignited everything. That was the beginning of the end. It seemed like as soon as Gladwin Wolf returned that kick for a touchdown, it was like we got demoralized, and it was no reason for us to get deflated after a kick return. But that seemed to be the beginning of the end. We lost whatever momentum we had left, and the Sharks quickly just jumped on that. And not to mention dealing with a rowdy LA crowd, that all got to us, and it seems like we made so many mistakes. Noah Martin got a pick, and we couldn't do anything with it. So it was just like, Gladwin Wolf, you got to give it to him for making a big play out of the first half. After it was really bad for them to make a play and still keep their faith and keep the fans still staying in it. So credit to Doug Buzz, credit to the Sharks. I give it to him, but it's just it's a little bit frustrating. Well, not a little bit, a lot. But I mean, you move on to the next. The game is over. We got to focus on the next opponent. So
you have 3 home games down the stretch, but first you have Santa Fe. If you lose on the road to the Gorillas, you drop to 0-5 on the road and 2-6 on the season. Is this a must-win game for Houston in your mind?
It is. This was a must-win game, but I believe this game against Santa Fe is the make or break. If we lose to Santa Fe, we have to start looking toward the off season at that point. I think the best we can do is try to disappoint some teams that are in the playoff hunt. Maybe do that if we can do anything. But if we lose to Santa Fe, I think we might have to chalk it up this season and just try to get what we can out of it and look forward to next season.
You've seen, I'm sure, plenty of film on Santa Fe. What makes them, one of the most dangerous teams in the league?
It's the fact that they can get down the field at will. With Matt Wilson at quarterback, he seems to make the impossible possible, and he has the receivers with Nick T. Quick. He has Morales. he has so many dangerous targets, and if you play them downfield, they have a running back that can expose you as well on any given day. So I think we just need to get Santa Fe, get Matt Wilson rattled early and often, and try to beat that Santa Fe defense. Try to get Black involved early. It seems like the second half we kind of stopped going to Black, and Steve was going to Washington. He was throwing it to Mito, and that's fine. That's all fine. But we have made way more explosive wide receivers. I'm not taking shots at the rookies or anything like that, but when you have players like D.R. Sim, who had 2 touchdowns, I believe, in the first half, and then you got James and you got Benson. Benson, I don't even think he had a catch he didn't have a catch the whole game.
Yeah,
he didn't receive the ball at once. So I don't understand what's going on. I'm not blaming Allen. I'm not blaming Coach. I'm not blaming Sim. It's just everything just seems to be in question. There's more question marks than there is answers, and it just seems to be that way every week. When we can't get our tight end involved, one of our bigger targets besides Sim and James, I don't understand. So I guess the Santa Fe is a must-win, and if we don't win that, then we got to chalk it up and figure out what we need to do going into next season to get us back on track.
How long is the flight home to Houston?
It's too long, but by the time we get back to Houston, we just need to get to work immediately. Obviously, I'll be upset on the flight. I'm sure we all will. It'll be some silence in there, but by the time we get home, it's back to work, and we just got to prepare like we haven't prepared before for Santa Fe.
Well, I'll see you in Mexico on Sunday.
Yep.
It's a short week, but I'm excited to see if Houston can come out and take on Santa Fe, and hopefully not did what Dallas did to me tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same but I haven't lost faith yet. So.
All right, sounds good. Matthew Boozer, appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you.
Matthew Boozer, linebacker of the Houston Hyenas. One last call. Let's hear from Andy Hamilton tonight, who called his first SFL play-by-play game. Obviously, defensive coordinator Carolina came with me with the question. I said, hey, I want to hear what you can do. So he got me some game tape. I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And he was able to get that going. Do I have Andy?
How's it going, Cam?
There you go. I got Andy Hamilton, right?
Yes, sir. Right on time.
Sorry, you sound different now.
I had some water here in between the end of that game and this call, so that might have helped a little bit,
You poor soul out there thrown to the wolves to have to not pull a Houston-Louisville totally falling apart at the end of the game.
Sure, and they didn't give me time to rest. That was the thing. It went so fast-paced there once LA started driving there at the end that I didn't have time to pause and kind of cough and get myself back composed. So credit to Doug for ruining my voice there at the end.
Well, from what I've heard from everyone around the SFL, people seem to really have enjoyed and appreciated the commentary. What was it like doing? First off, are you like me? Have you ever had any play-by-play experience before? And what was it like doing your first game?
In terms of experience, no. I've just been watching football since I was probably like 6 or 7. And when you watch one Bengals game, the 4:30 game, the 8:30 game, the Monday night, and then the Thursday night, and then you restart that system, you kind of pick up on just a few small things,
right.
And I guess put that into use. I don't know. And then listening to you 3 times a week for the entire season, you hear some little stuff. It took a lot of effort not to yell "kick it" at the beginning.
I would have been flattered if you did. What did you say at the beginning?
I think I just said we're underway.
You have to find a line somewhere else. You got to mix it in. Give the people
right.
what they want. But what was your analysis of Houston, Los Angeles? As a guy in the booth, as a guy sort of getting to dissect the game from start to finish, what did you see out there?
Sure. Well, in terms of the entire game, you have to look at it as the tale of two halves. I said it there at the end. Los Angeles really struggled in the first half. Parkey Cho at the end of that first half brought them back into it a little bit with a touchdown there at the end. But really, Houston and DR Sim and Steve Abweji really dominated the first half of play from an offensive standpoint. And then Noah Martin, can you believe that? 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. That man left it all on the field. The first half was all Houston, and then the second half, right out of the gate, Gladwin Wolf runs that kickoff back. That opened it up a little bit for LA, but the third quarter was really still kind of locked in a deadlock. Then you have the interception and then the LA stop there in the fourth. Still, we're kind of gridlocked here, and then on that last LA drive, you see some life. The crowd starts to get into it. There's a belief system here that LA can make it happen. They put the ball in the end zone, and all seems right. And then the defense folds a little bit. Houston gets behind them on 2 big throws. And there we go. We're heading to overtime. And Murdoch Mock on third down. Can you believe it? 3rd and 19.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, as I've said, the greatest comeback in league history, and you just so happened to be ready to go on the call tonight for that moment. But how does going from defensive coordinator of a team to sort of being on the league stage, how did it compare for you, and what's your takeaway from it?
Well, the defensive coordinating position, don't get it twisted now. I'm still picking plays for Carolina, and we got Louisville coming up. So
yes, you do.
Got that coming.
Good Lord. Everybody say a prayer.
I got a big week for me ahead of me. It helps a lot in terms of scouting. If anyone noticed, I was calling out there at the end at least some of the defensive formations that the teams were in. I recognize that. And it helps me a little bit to identify what the offense is in, and that kind of helps play into what they're going to do down and distance. It's different for sure, especially in learning all of the players' names. I probably bugged Alan, Doug, and Damon this week looking for the non-star names too many times. But, hey, if it gets the job done, it was plenty of fun to do, and I'm hoping you guys will have me back for some more games in the future.
Yeah, well, certainly with the review, I think the reviews are in. I don't think that we have any weight on that. And you and I have discussed some future plans as well for the league, as the league has some big announcements to make on the 26th of September. But for those that may know you as just the Carolina defensive coordinator, but not necessarily know you as Andy Hamilton, play-by-play commentator for the SFL, tell people a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Sure. I'm a 21-year-old student. I go to Ohio University.
Oh wait, hold on. Before you go any further, hey, who did Ohio play opening week of college football season?
Opening week, we played Texas State, and they beat us in overtime. Believe it or not.
That's right. Who graduated from Texas State?
Was that you, Mr.
Oh, that would be me. Go Bobcats. Go Bobcats.
I extend my hand to you and congratulations. You want to know something even more interesting? Okay. Guess who the Ohio Bobcats play this weekend?
Who's that?
They play Maurice Spurgeon's Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, I can guarantee you that Tennessee is going to be a better challenge.
You beat us, so I hope not.
Yeah. Anyway, please continue. I had to get that in there.
Sure. No, you won. You definitely have the right to. Just a student, been a fan of football ever since I started playing. I think I started in 4th grade, went all the way up to freshman year. But being 5'10" doesn't necessarily help with playing football. You kind of get clobbered out there. Being on the practice squad isn't too much fun. So been a Bengals fan ever since I can remember. Please don't bring up the game last playoffs. I will be sad.
I won't.
So yeah, I've been watching the Bengals as long as I can remember, loving football, loving plays, dissecting plays. I've been in the sim community for probably, I would say, probably about 6-7 years now on various sites that have since folded, various leagues that have folded.
You had your own, didn't you?
Ran a league of my.
Yeah.
I did. I ran a league of my own up until I want to say November of last year, and then after that, focused all of my attention on the SFL, and now trying to get it done in Carolina, as well as hopefully calling some more games. It was a great fun.
TJ says 5'10", hit the gym. I don't think he understands how height works, but of course he's just kidding.
He might think I've met 510 pounds. I met 5 feet 10 ounces.
Good response. But yeah, it was great having you on the call, Andy. And I wish I would have been able to hear the game in its entirety, but I was instead trying to find an extra pillow. Trying to get through this second half here in Louisville. I certainly did not have as exciting night as you did, and have never been more jealous of another man than I am right now. But Andy, great job, and thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. All right, that'll be the conclusion of tonight's post-game show. Again, the final scores: Louisville hammers Dallas 46-31. They were up 31-0 at the half. Los Angeles completes the longest comeback in league history, or the largest comeback in league history. Down 28-7. They win 37-31 in overtime to improve to 3-4. And Orlando bounces back after a 2-game skid. They beat Tallahassee 20-12 at the Arashi Dome in Florida. I'm your play-by-play commentator, and I should say I am the lead play-by-play commentator of the SFL now that we have Andy on board. Cameron Irvine along as SFL Commissioner. Tomorrow night, Sioux Falls in Minneapolis, along with regional action, Queen City and NYC. It's been a pleasure, as always. Good night, everybody from Texas.